Dear students, welcome to the consumer behavior class. Today is our fifth class in row that we are going into the details of the consumer behavior. So, as you will remember, a couple of weeks ago, we started to discuss the internal influencers, factors which affect consumer behavior. The first one was the perception concept. We discussed what is perception, how it is generated, created by individuals, and how marketing people try to manipulate the perception of consumers. In the last 2 weeks, we discussed the learning and memory as the other group of influencers, and we discussed these issues together. 2 weeks ago, we discussed the learning process, how it occurs in consumers' mind, and what are the factors which affect this process, and how marketing professionals may benefit from the learning process. And also, we discussed last week the memory. We discussed the theories about the memory, how the memory is formed, and how marketing managers try to influence the memory. So today we are starting to a new group of influencers, which are the motivation and affect. So today we will be looking to the motivation side, and we will discuss the motivation. And next week we will discuss the affect side. So let's go on with motivation today. So what we do actually, we do it for a reason. And this reason is the thing that motivates us. So this is why, if you want to know why some people do something, you need to understand what motivates them. The answer for the reason of doing something is actually the motivation process. So the answer lies in the motivation process. Some people like to play chess. Some people like to do bungee jumping. So they have different tastes and preferences. A chess player is not motivated to make a bungee jumping. But on the other hand, a bungee jumping person doesn't like to play maybe chess or is not motivated to play chess. So the ultimate target of marketing, of course, or let's say not ultimate, but the first target, the main target of marketing is to understand the needs and the motivations of people towards the consumption materials like products and services. So we need to understand the motivation, what motivates customers to buy something or use a product, to consume a product, etc. So this is why, in order to understand consumer behavior, we need to understand what is motivation and how it affects people, how it triggers actions. This is very important. And motivation, of course, it is a process. It is a process. Motivation is a part of a process. And you will see now what is this process and how we can explain the motivation within this process. So as I told you, motivation is a process which leads to some behavior. So when people want to satisfy their needs, they become motivated. So everything starts with a need, with the recognition or identification of a need. Once a need is created, then the motivation process starts. So this need, by name, can be utilitarian need or a hedonic need. There are two types of needs we have. So what is a utilitarian need? It's a functional need. It's related with functionality. So if I buy a screwdriver, I have a utilitarian need, and screwdriver has a utilitarian benefit to me, right? I'm doing something with this screwdriver, right? So it helps me to fix something. It's purely utilitarian. But on the other hand, we have also some hedonic needs. In the hedonic needs side, we have more emotional benefits, emotional needs. Okay, so we are looking for emotional, sensual, and also experiential needs. Okay, so we need to fulfill this type of emotional, experiential, or sensual needs. These are the hedonic. So utilitarian or hedonic needs, when a need is there, then the tension starts. What is this tension? The goal to reach some objective, right? So when we try to do something, when we feel the need of something, we become stressed in a low level or high level. So the tension, when the tension is created, then this motivates us to do something, and we take an action to realize our objective or goal. This is what we have as a process. So motivation is in the middle of the process, which goes from a pure need to the objective of goals. This is very important. Now, what is motivational strat? So when we feel the need too strong, then our motivation and our arousal becomes also very powerful. The tension becomes very powerful. So in this case, we feel a very high degree of motivation or drive. Okay, so this is very important. So when the need is very urgent, the tension becomes much higher, and it creates a very high level of motivation. So there are generally two theories which explain how motivation occurs. What are the factors which create the motivation? These theories are the drive theory and the expectancy theory. There are two theories which explain us how the motivation occurs. So the first one is the drive theory. In the drive theory, we try to, let's say, drive theory tries to explain the motivation process by focusing on the biological needs like thirst, hunger, etc. So, according to this theory, motivation occurs when we have a biological need, and this biological needs push too much to create some sort of drive. And if the drive is strong enough, it creates a motivation to make an action. So this is what the drive theory, how the drive theory explains the occurrence of motivation. So if when we take an action because of this drive, and our let's say our tension decreases, then we always try to repeat the same behavior if this action let's say reduces the tension and the associated drive. So this is how the drive theory explains the occurrence of motivation. So, of course, the level of the need, the urgency of the need, the intensity of the need is the determinant of the degree of motivation, because it is the determinant of the, let's say, uh, it is the determinant of the tension also. So if our need is very intensive, is very powerful, is very strong, is very urgent, then the tension becomes very urgent. So the motivation becomes very strong to reduce this tension and drive. So this is why, according to the drive theory, the degree of motivation is totally depending on the distance between our actual state and the desired state, which means the intensity or urgency of the need. It is very important. So this is the drive theory. But on the other hand, the occurrence of motivation or the factors which affect the motivation process and how it is occurred is also explained with expectancy theory. According to the expectancy theory, the, the theory generally focuses or explains the motivation process by focusing on not biological needs, but some cognitive factors. According to the expectancy theory, people get motivated because they want to reach a desired state. They want to get a desired outcome. So, in order to realize or reach to this desired outcome, they try to, they are being motivated and take the required action. So generally, if you look at from the marketing perspective, when we see that there are two products in front of us and we try to make a selection, how we are going to make a selection based on these two products? Generally, we we use these two products and we compare them and we choose the one which will create the best output for us. So this is explained with expectancy theory. So our motivation to choose uh, product one or product two depends on the expected outcome, desired outcome, and our belief about this outcome based on each product. If product two is creates, according to us, creates a much better outcome for us, then we are more motivated to choose the product two. So this is how expectancy theory explains the motivation process. So when you go through the marketing practices, marketing people try to benefit from drive theory and expectancy theory, both of them, in their marketing tactics and also, let's say, communication to convince the customers to buy their products, consume their products. For example, let's take an example, McDonald's brand. Maybe you don't know, but the main value proposition or brand mantra, let's say, actually, the brand mantra of McDonald's is food, folks, and fun. Yes. So McDonald's brand mantra or the brand promise, let's say, is food, folks, and fun, which means food, friends, and fun. So McDonald's tries to generate a McDonald's experience in their stores to eat nice food with friends and have fun. So according to the McDonald's experience, we have food, folks, and fun together. So how McDonald's motivates people? It uses both drive theory and expectancy theory. It benefits from drive theory and expectancy theory. So according to the McDonald's tries to communicate to the customers that when you get hunger, I have a food for you, nice food. So which theory does it correspond to? of course, drive theory, because it's a biological need, hunger. Then it combines this food with friends and fun. So it then uses the expectancy theory and tries to generate a nice outcome for consumers, having fun and socialization, right? So these are the two non-biological needs, okay? And it uses expectancy theory. So according to the McDonald's brand mantra is formed based on the promises of drive theory and expectancy theory. Now, of course, we are always talking about the needs. As I told you, the need is something that we need to have to achieve a goal. We need water to live. We need food to live. We need air to live. We need that product to fix something. We need this product to do something, right? So everything starts with a need. Our need can be utilitarian or hedonic. I just described you a couple minutes ago that utilitarian needs are those needs which which are dealing or which are related with the tangible attributes of the product. For example, its features, functionality, the performance. These are the utilitarian needs. A person, a consumer which has a utilitarian need about a product, then he is interested with some product features, functionality, its performance, right? So, like a computer, how fast it opens, it turns on, or how is the graphic card power, etc. This is a utilitarian perspective to the need. But sometimes customers also have hedonic needs. These hedonic needs are those subjective and experiential needs. So sometimes consumers look for some emotional benefits from the products, not utilitarian, not functional. Then when the product creates an emotional effect on consumer, we feel okay, we feel nice, we feel good when we use that product. This is a hedonic effect. So hedonic needs are related with experiential and subjective benefits. So when a need becomes a want, when we direct a need to a specific object, this creates a want. So it is the transformation of the need to an object, which is to the want. So how we are transforming this need to the want? If we include our personal interpretation and personal factors into this need, it becomes our want. For example, I have a hunger, right? I feel hungry. This is a need. I need food. I want to, let's say, I want to eat McDonald's. This is my want. So my hunger as a need is transferred to my want, eating McDonald's. So marketing people try to transform these needs into their or transport these needs into their brands as a want of the consumer. So McDonald's wants every consumer who needs food to think about consuming McDonald's products. So wanting McDonald's, right? So this is very important. Then, of course, it is very important that our goals. So in the motivation process, we have also goals. What are these goals? These goals are generally the goals are described as the things that we want to achieve. But the goals sometimes may be positive or negative. What does it mean, positive or negative? So, for example, when the goal is positive, which means that we are expecting a positive result when we achieve this goal. Okay? And the goal is negative when the customer, uh, by achieving the goal, we try to prevent a negative outcome result. So this is a preemptive action. So when we achieve this goal, we will prevent something to happen. So this is a negative goal. So the goals are positive and negative. Okay? Repeating one more time, positive goals are those goals when we achieve this goal, we reach a positive outcome. Okay? We achieve something, we achieve a positive outcome. On the other hand, negative goals are those goals which, when we achieve this goal, we will prevent something negative to happen. So this is the negative goal. So keeping this in mind, so every purchase situation is a case for purchasing and solving a problem or achieving a goal. So we can define every purchase decision as a process of reaching a goal. This goal may be, let's say, this goal may be a positive outcome or preventing a negative outcome, as I told you. So this is why it is important that our goal is already fixed. But sometimes our goal may include two types of results, outcomes, or our decision, our purchase situation may include two types of decision cases, two types of options to make a choice between two options. Whatever is the case, our motivations may be conflicting. For example, let me give you an example. Sometimes one purchase decision may require to make a decision between two competitive alternatives, right? Doing this or doing that. And the motivations for this may be conflicting to each other, competing to each other. So this is the case of motivational conflicts. In a singular purchase decision, we may have two different motivations to realize, okay, which are attached to some goals. So generally, there are three types of conflicts. The first one is the approach-to-approach conflict. Approach-to-approach conflict. The second one is the approach-to-avoidance conflict. And the final one is the avoidance conflict. Now, what are these three conflict types and how they occur? So we have a particular purchase situation, but we have two different options. Sometimes the motivations of these two options may be conflicting to each other in a way that these two motivations conflict in an approach-to-approach way, approach-to-avoidance way, and avoidance way. So what is approach? Approach means the outcome is a favorable outcome. We want this outcome. This is approach. What is avoidance? We don't want. We want to prevent some outcome. This is avoidance. So we don't want this option generally. This is avoidance. So let's see these combinations. What is approach conflict? What is approach avoidance conflict? And what is avoidance conflict? Let's start with the approach motivational conflict. When two alternatives, for example, we want to decide to buy something and we have two alternatives. And both alternatives is favorable for us. We want both of them. No problem. There are both alternatives are pleasant. So there is no problem. However, we need to make a decision, and each alternative has good sides and bad sides. So what we are going to do? We need to choose something. So in a case where both alternatives are favorable alternatives, desirable alternatives, so we have the motivation to approach to these alternatives because we want both of them, but we have to choose one of them only. So two approach motivations conflict to each other, compete to each other. We need to make a decision. This is called as let's say this is called as approach to approach conflict. So generally, of course, it is important that our choice should be the right choice according to us. This is why we need to be sure that we are making the right choice. So within these two approach motivations, product one is a nice product. I want it. Product two is the same product and it is also a nice one. So which one I will choose? I have two positive motivations, approach motivations, and they are competing to each other. Which motivation will win the race, right? So we need to decide this. So, for example, in the approach to approach motivation, this is a good example. Let's say that I like drinking beer. Okay, so when you like drinking beer, you may want to you may be in a situation to choose one of the beer brands. Okay, both of them are nice brands, and you know them. But so you have an approach motivation because you like the beer and you want beer. So you have an approach motivation to consume this beer, and you have also an approach motivation to the second brand because you like beer. So to both products, you have approach motivation. But which one you are going to select? So in this case, you experience an approach to approach motivational conflict. On the left side, the Miller beer is a very light one, right? So there is no problem. The light one is good. You don't feel, let's say, feeling, right? Your stomach is still okay. But on the right side, the Budweiser is not light like Miller, but it is very tasty. So the strong side is it becomes a tasty. And the Miller is the light beer. So which one you are going to choose? You have both approach motivation to both products. So the best one here, it comes to expectancy theory. What was expectancy theory was saying? Which one creates a more desirable output? You choose that one. So if you like more light beer, you will choose the Miller beer. If you like more tasty beer, you will choose Budweiser. It depends on your preferences. But in any case, you have a conflict, approach to approach conflict. Okay, this is very important. Now, the other issue is that you have sometimes one motivation to approach to a desired outcome, and at the same time, you have an avoidance of another outcome with the single product. What does it mean? For example, if you really want to eat some sweet dessert, for example, at one part of you, you are motivated. You have an approach motivation to eat this, let's say, chocolate, for example. But on the other hand, consuming the same product results in gaining calories, right? So you have an avoidance motivation for eating the product. So the same product has two different motivations for you. The approach motivation because you like, it's a hedonic. The avoidance motivation is to not gain, of course, is to prevent gaining weight, right? Calories. So this is why it is really important to understand uh, how the products create some approach avoidance conflict. So, for example, if you look at the pictures, here we have brownies, right? So, eating brownie uh, may have an approach motivation for the consumer because it is delicious, it's nice, it's a hedonic need. Okay, but on the other hand, uh, eating brownie may have also trigger some avoidance motivation. Why? Because you don't want to gain weight, calories, right? So you want to prevent to gain calories by not eating them. So it is avoiding motivation toward this product. So this is why sometimes you have two conflicting motivations like approach and avoidance on the usage of a single product. So it is the same for Coca-Cola drink also. You like to drink Coca-Cola because it is tasty and your motivation is an approach type motivation because you want a desired outcome, positive outcome, nice taste, feeling okay. But on the other hand, you have an avoidance motivation because you don't want to consume Coca-Cola because of its sugar, right? So you want to prevent to gain weight and you have an avoidance motivation towards drinking Coca-Cola. So which one will win the competition? Approach or avoidance? So marketers try to fix this problem by communicating with the customers in a way that it will eliminate the avoidance motivation or it will diminish, minimize the avoidance motivation and approach motivation will be the leading one or will be the dominating one in the conflict. In this case, as people have stronger approach motivation, they will decide to buy the product and consume the product, even there's an avoidance motivation also. So how they do this, how marketers try to do this, they communicate that it is low calorie or zero sugar like we do in the products. So this is how approach avoidance conflict is managed by brands, right? So this is the example of approach avoidance conflict management. The third type of motivational conflict is avoidance conflict. In the avoidance conflict, we have two unpleasant outcomes, but we have to do one of them. So we have avoidance motivation for alternative one and avoidance motivation again for alternative two. So what we are going to do then? What is the solution? What we have to do? So in order to resolve this avoidance conflict, we need to minimize the effect of one of them. We have to choose the least undesirable output, the one which will make lower levels of undesirable effect. So we have to decide on that one. So marketing people try to solve this issue again with some communications and offerings to the customers. Let me give you an example. A typical example of avoidance motivational conflict is to decide whether to spend extra money to the service of your old car or buying a new one. Both of them is unpleasant outcome for us. Why? Because we are paying money. We don't want to pay money, but we have to pay money in either case. Whether we are going to fix the car, the old car in the service, we will pay money, or we are going to pay a lot of money to buy a new car. On the other hand, there is no guarantee of the old car because it gets older. So there is also risk. So what are going? Both of outputs are undesirable because we are paying money. They cost money to us, right? So this is why it is a difficult situation for us. However, marketers try to eliminate one option, or let's say soften undesirable outputs, so people can just choose that one. So generally, this option that the marketing people try to soften its unpleasant outcomes is the one which related with the product that the company sells, of course. So, for example, in the car example, marketing people try to offer to the customers some financial programs, right? Payment programs, campaigns, which like distribute the payment to the long term with small amounts, which will not really make people, let's say, feel stressed about paying the amounts. This is why, consequently, or here, we can just say that by doing this, marketing people are, let's say, manipulating the avoidance conflict in favor of their products. Why? When people see these payment plans on long term with low interest and small amounts monthly, the product becomes financially more reachable and the payments are flexible, so people feel more less undesirable output for this option. So the balance changes in favor of buying a new car instead of paying a service money to the old car which has no guarantee at all. So this is why how marketing people try to manipulate the things in a way that the avoidance motivational conflict will affect, will be changed, the balance will be changed in favor of their brands. This is how they manage this type of conflicts. Now, summarizing the issues, there are three motivational conflicts. Approach conflict is when you have two alternatives and both of them is related with favorable outcomes. Both outcomes are good for you, but the motivations for both outcomes are competing with each other. Eating hamburger or hot dog. Both of them are quite good. Which one I will going to choose? Approach conflict is this case. The competition of two desirable outcomes and their motivations. The second one is approach avoidance conflict. In this approach avoidance conflict, for a particular consumption or product usage, you have two competing outcomes. One outcome is the desirable one. The second outcome is undesirable one. So for the desirable one, you have an approach motivation. You want this result. And for the undesirable one, you have avoidance motivation. You don't want to get this result. You want to prevent this result outcome. So in these cases, like eating ice cream, consuming ice cream, towards consuming ice cream, I have a approach motivation because I like it. It's a hedonic need. But also I have an avoidance motivation because of health issues, or let's say weight issues. So approach and avoidance motivations are competing to each other in the, let's say, dessert eating products. And marketers try to, let's say, manipulate this in favor of their products by softening the negative outcome perception or avoidance motivation product outcome. And lastly, avoidance, motivational conflict. Here, two undesirable outcomes compete with each other, and we choose the one which produces less undesirable outcome. So, eating healthy food or going to the hospital, becoming sick, unhealthy. So, this is avoidance, because both of them for us are not so really good, because healthy food creates some no tasty food. So it is the case. So in any case, what we are going to do, we will choose the one which will create less harm to us, the less undesirable one. And marketers try to create one of them as less undesirable to make people choose that option. So this is the avoidance, motivational conflict. So these are this is the motivation process and motivational conflict that we can see in our case, and how marketers try to manipulate this. Now we have many. We need to open a special paragraph about the needs that we have. So as the motivation process starts with the needs, it is extremely important. This is why we need to look at some classification of needs by several academicians. One of them is Henry Murray. The other one is AAPU classification. And the last one is, maybe you know, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So there are three types of needs classification, and these needs classifications are the starting point of all motivations of consumers. Now, let's go on with the Harry Murray's classification. So, according to the Harry Murray, generally needs are defined in 5 categories, domains. Needs towards objects, needs towards ambitions, needs towards power, needs towards affection, and needs towards the social intercourse. These are the generally main types. So we have these options, and we have these classifications. So what are the needs towards objects? Of course, we want to buy them, acquire them. We want to construct them, order them, and retain them. These are the objects towards the needs towards the objects. What are the needs towards the ambition category? We want to be a superior person, or we want to be recognized. We want achievement in the society. These are the ambitions. And we have also some needs towards the power. We want to dominate other people. Sometimes we become aggressive, right? We want to defend ourselves. This is the power needs and category. There is also the affection category. So we want to really close relationships, love, etc. And there's also social needs category. So we want to really be part of a group, and we want to be recognized by the group, and we want to have some relations with other members of the society. This is the social needs. Family, friends, loves, marriage, these are all social needs and affection needs. So in addition to Murray, we have AAPU, which is the abbreviation for Achievement, Affiliation, Power, and Uniqueness. So this classification divides the needs into 4 categories: achievement, affiliation, power, and uniqueness. So what is achievement? This achievement is focusing on the personal achievement and become, let's say, main accomplishment in life, success, etc. So generally, if our consumers are those type of people who look for achievement in needs, we need to really give the message that our products will contribute to their achievements. So we have to show how products make the life is easier for them and contribute their success in their life and save time to them for other activities. This is how, as a marketer, we need to approach to these people who focus or who need of achievement in their life. What about the affiliation? Affiliation means socialization. So these people need socialization. So the brands and products who have communities and who create some brands, who create some events which consumers can bring together and make joint activities are attracting this type of people who look for affiliation. What about the power? Power is also important. This type of people look for really mastery products, so expert products, the products that they will show you the expert of something. They will transfer you the power of expertise. So these are the things that they like. So if we have such consumers, it is good to communicate this part, these features, these benefits of the product to this group of people. And finally, the uniqueness. Some people look for uniqueness, so they need uniqueness to be special, to be the one differentiated from the rest of the society. So these people are looking for luxury products, innovative products, the products that the mass do not own actually. So this is the look for uniqueness, and when you have such target consumer base look for uniqueness, your products should really reflect their necessities. So you need an innovative, luxury, or special product. Limited series products, for example, are good for these people who look for uniqueness. Sometimes marketers announce limited series products. There are limited number of products produced. Those people who look for uniqueness, they need uniqueness, they're always attracted to such products. You see, these are the four categories under the AAPU classification. And we have finally the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. These needs start with physiological needs like water, sleep, food, etc. So according to Maslow, people start with physiological needs and go one by one to the upper levels of the pyramid once they accomplish the needs, the fulfill their needs in each level. So first of all, we cannot think anything else than physiological needs. But if our physiological needs are met, then we look for safety needs. These safety needs are also important. These are security, shelter, protection, etc. Then you look for social needs, loneliness. So then we look for we look for friendship, accepted by others, being part of a group, etc. Right? And of course, then we have ego needs. In the ego needs, after we complete the physiological, safety, and social needs, our ego needs are coming in sen, and we look for prestige, accomplishment, status, money, etc. So these are the ego needs. And under on the top of the pyramid, we have self-actualization process. In the self-actualization, we try to do the things that we want to do in our life and actualize our, let's say, fulfill our dreams and do what we dream for. So this is the top. So the psychological effect increases one by one when we go to the top of the pyramid. So from physiological needs to the psychological needs, we go through the top of the pyramid. So generally, marketers try to uh, communicate and articulate the benefits of their products by also referencing to the different levels of needs in this pyramid. So, for example, food products are directing to the physiological needs and trying to play and let's say trying to let's say explain the features by addressing the physiological needs, nutrition, health, this type of things. On the other hand, the safety needs, insurance products and other products related with safety are just trying to secure the belongings of the consumers, and they are trying, or their health, they are trying to protect the consumers, so they are addressing the safety needs. Social needs, of course, some brands try to create communities to bring people together. They are trying to sense of generation of the brand, like generation, and also social media, for example, serves this purpose. And we have also the ego needs. So luxury brands, they are serving to these needs, ego needs. So prestigious brands, prestigious products, luxury brands, clubs, or expensive products. These are all serving to the ego needs. And finally, the self-actualization. These are the products which are related with travel, leisure, lifestyle products, hobbies. These are the self-actualization products. These are them. So this is all from the Maslow's hierarchy. Just one example, for example, Volvo brand, the main value proposition of Volvo brand is that consumers will drive the, the, the most secure car in the world. So the value proposition is the absolute security. So Volvo tries to target those consumers who are very sensitive on the safety needs in the Maslow's hierarchy. This is why Volvo communicates to these people with the advertisements which always try to stress or underline the safety of their cars and tries to prove this safety with some crash scores or how the cars and their doors ceiling is built with steel bars. And as you see in this advertisement, they are always saying safety first because their target consumers are really safety concerned with safety. And they are putting a bicycle, a children bicycle, to show them that with the side tires, as you see, these are helping supporting tires to make the kid bicycling easily and secure way. So this is why Volvo tries to link security and safety with the car, and they are addressing to these customers with communication like you see in this advertisement, stressing that children need to be secure, as we did in the bicycle. As you see in the bicycle, you are securing them. You have to secure them also in the car by buying and driving the most secure car of the world. So this is what Volvo is trying to do. In the last couple of years, of course, they also started to, let's say, focus on the design and performance, but security is still the primary issue and the primary value proposition of Volvo. This is the case. So, dear students, today we have looked at the motivation. What is motivation and how it is formed through a process which starts from the needs and with the realization of the goal or reaching to the goal. And we discussed three types of motivational conflicts. Approach, 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 avoidance, and avoidance, avoidance. And finally, we discussed the classification of needs, and we also understood how marketing professionals solve the motivational conflict issues for the consumers to make them buy their products. Yes, this is all for today's class. Do you have any questions? Midterm exam. Midterm exam will be on the 21st of April, 2 weeks later. I will send you from OIS and Blackboard a detailed explanation about the midterm exam. So you will see the detailed explanation of the midterm exam, but the date is 21st of April at the class time. Today at this time. Okay? So 2 weeks. Okay, 2 weeks later. I will give you detailed explanation. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Thank you, dear students. So have a nice week and weekend. Hopefully see you next week.